shear, oxidol, spick and span, everything that you ever use for a cleanser in your house. It's, you know, it's used on things to clean cars, so in car washes, everything. It's a cleanser, and therefore it gets in our water system and gets in our aquifer. What happened though, and I'm speculating, I'm not telling you this is fact. What I'm speculating is that there are people in the water treatment, they're doing studies. Again, remember, until 2016, we didn't even know that dioxin was a problem. They were doing studies, they showed a spike, higher level, still below the 2.35, and they took care of it. They closed the water and closed it. But the problem, they didn't tell anybody. They just did it. I mean, we knew they were closing the water treatment plant, but we didn't know why. And Darren and I know he's been talking to other commissioners, that's part, and this was one of the challenges, communications, both internal and external. We have got to make sure, and trust me, folks, when I got there, I had a lot of problems with the communications. I mean, I was like the outsider, and there has to be, and this is why I'm depending so much on Darren, a culture change in the county. We have lots of successes, but it's kind of like the thing where everybody wants to get it done and not tell the next guy up. Well, he's the CEO. He needs to know everything. So, he doesn't have to be a micromanager, but he has to know everything to make the decisions. And so does the board of directors, which is what we act as. And unfortunately, when I got there was a lot of commissioners that acted as CEOs themselves. That's got to stop. And we've got to have a better internal communication in the county. And we have to have better external communications, which all of us have been arguing about. We have to have new technology. We have to make sure that we have a better dialogue with our citizens. And there's a lot of things that we can do. Darren yesterday just hired a new communications director. So we are making progress on that. That's how it got ahead of us. It wasn't that anybody, when I first got elected, we were deciding where to put Boomba, okay, the sports complex. And I got in and I looked at this and I said, okay, way out there at the airport with no hotels, no food, no anything. Why are we doing it there? I said, this big open, because one of the suggestions was Siemens. This big open property is right there. Why don't we do it there? I got outvoted for it, which I did a lot in the first couple of years. That's okay. When the one is right, I don't mind being the one. Okay. But what happened in Siemens? Well, they said, well, it's contaminated, and we all knew that. Yeah, it's contaminated. So guess what? We buy it. Previous owners are required by state law to clean it up. So we buy it, we could clean it up, we could put the park there right on I-4. That was my idea. You see that? You go right there. Beautiful. Now, Boomba's worked out, and it's wonderful, and it's great, and it's everything we expected it to be, and I'm glad, I'm happy that it's worked out. But I still thought that would be a better location for it. But also, Lake Mary, and you have to understand, Lake Mary's looking for money. If we bought it, it's off the tax rolls. They've got that nice big hospital, and they've got all those apartments right there now, and everything else. They got a $40 million treatment plant that Siemens did pay for them to clean up their area. So see, we knew that. But what we didn't know is the harm of dioxin and the spread of the pollutant. And that is too good. And we will probably, I think somebody said the other day, and I can't remember who it was, but at the commission meeting, said it's hard for policy, for science to catch up to policy. Yes. And so, if we knew then what we know now, we would have taken care of it then. And I mean in two reasons. Number one, if we knew dioxin was a problem, and number two, or even existed, and number two, if the county manager at the time knew about it, they could have made corrective decisions long term, not the short term solution that they came up with, which was just to close it and ignore the rest of it. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned in the list of things that you do that, and this is not exactly on the subject, so if you're not familiar, that's fine.
Sorry.
On an opioid committee,
Oh, yeah, and that was another one. And see, now you're getting into the challenges and the things.
Yes.
I have been on, and this is a great point of pride, but I have been appointed by the current federal administration to be on the National Opioid Task Force. You recall, he's a Democrat, or his administration. I have been appointed by the current administration in Florida to be on the statewide opioid task force. So I'm sorry, what?
But when you say opioids,
Opioid.
is that including
Fentanyl, everything, yes.
Okay.
That includes the scourge of fentanyl.
And
The
that's up 400%.
the scourge of opioids. And I will be in Milwaukee next month, August, for the national, this will be our third meeting. And what we're doing is we're bringing in people, 26 people from around the United States. I'm the only one from south of North Carolina. So, but you know, a lot of it is Appalachian because they were first. So there's a lot of folks from the Appalachian area that are on it. When I say a lot, 4 or 5 of the 26, you know. And for North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, and Spain. Okay, there's a number of people from Tennessee. And then the statewide is going to be chaired by, the other one is being paid for by the Pew Institute and is run by staff-wise the National Association of Counties. The local one is a state task force, 10 people, 3 county commissioners, 2 city commissioners, the Attorney General, who's chair, the Secretary of DCA, who is going to be the vice chair, appointment by the governor, appointment by the Senate President, appointment by the Speaker of the House. So I'm one of the 3 county representatives. And what our job is the same thing, this is why it dovetails really well, it's the same thing what I'm doing in the national, is finding what works, what solutions work. Give me an example, and I'm sure it would cause a lot of controversy in Seminole County if we did it, and I talked to Lima about it, because Sheriff Lima is leading in a lot of ways our program. You know, we got 18 million because we were in front of it. That'll never take care of everything, but it's a lot more than most people are getting. We're getting 18 million over what, 4 years? Is that what it is? Okay, so one of the things that some counties are doing is they're putting the, you know, I'm sorry, my mind's going blank. Put the medicine in vending machines. Narcan. In vending machines. For people to just go there, get them, have them. You know, I think it's a good idea. Some people won't like that idea because, oh, what are we doing helping drug addicts, right? Well, let me tell you something. These are your neighbors. These are people that got hooked for reasons that are other than they wanted to be drug addicts. Nobody wants to be a drug addict, but this is a health and mental health problem. And so we got a lot of things to do with that. Yes, ma'am.
I have a question regarding native plants, birds, bees, things of that nature that are affected by the types of chemicals that are sprayed by the companies that work for us on our yards. What does the county do to help them be aware of those dangers that they're causing to our environment?
Pesticides. Well, we do it with the fertilizers, and that's, you know, and I think it's not a bad idea if we do that in education. That's your thing right now. But yeah, I think that's a very good addition potentially to what we're doing, because it's the same people.
Right.
It's the same people.
But
Now, a lot of
if
it
you
is in
don't
the name of
live-
fertilizers.
If you don't live by a lake, you probably ignore half of the restrictions because you think, oh, I don't have a water source that I'm polluting. But in reality, everybody is polluting. It's extremely irritating to me to see all these beautiful lush green yards that I'm positive are only that way because of the fact that they've chemicaled them to death.
Yes. Well, fertilizers, you know, I mean, there's 4 main ingredients. You could go about 75% of all that causes pollution of water. And we do have, Florida, not necessarily Seminole County, we're just part of it, have a real problem in pollution of lakes and water bodies. In fact, there was rated number 1. Isn't that great? That's a great thing. Not us, the state of Florida, as far as pollution of water, pollution of water bodies. You know, isn't that so ironic? It's the thing we live off of, right? It's what our economy is based upon, right? The idea of Florida, the water, the being able to be the access to the rivers, streams, lakes, and ocean. It's sad. But it's 4 things, and all of them are compatible. All of them. You know, fertilizer and pesticides. Septic tanks. Stormwater. And that's something, you know, we don't have a stormwater program. Stormwater program that's paid. We've got to work on that in Seminole County.
Yeah.
That is one of our challenges. And the consumptive use permits. Those are the 4 things that cause the vast majority. Consumptive use permits because they can't spread. The water can't spread. The springs are, you know, are not dried up totally, but you know, you have less flow. I don't have to tell you about fertilizer. We're talking about it now. I don't have to tell you about stormwater. It goes right into our water bodies. You know, I look at it every day. I live on Lake Oriana. I look at it every day, seeing all those, you know, leaves and everything. I think I fired three landscapers already because what they do with it, they take the leaves and they just blow them into the street, which is going to go into the setting. Duh!
Right.
You know, now I have them pick them up and they're charging me more for them. And I won't let them use fertilizer. Now, I'm not going to say mine is the luscious greenest house on the block, but it ain't bad, is it, Bob? You've been there. You've been there, Jim. Okay, so, but you know, I've always been on a rampage about septic tanks, guys. We got to get rid of them. I mean, I'm just going to give you a little statistic. 2.9 million septic tanks in the state of Florida. And most of them were built in the 60s and 70s. But we're still putting them in. And you know, I finally got the commission to agree to put the up-level septic tanks in the Wekiva protection area. You know, I mean, but in those 2.9 million septic tanks, you remember a bill that I got very controversial 14 years ago now, about inspecting septic tanks, right? Once every 5 years. Would have given 14,000 new jobs. It would have also been a loss leader because they would have only charged $50, and the Department of Health has to give you a certificate that it was fixed, unlike the old fiasco that we had with the car inspections. This would have a state. Right? Okay. You know why? I mean, the year I was in, and I consider myself very powerful in 2010 because I got the bill passed with less than 40 votes against it. The next year it was unanimously taken out of there. So I must have done something right the year I was there. All I can tell you is, guys, of the 2.9 million septic tanks in Florida, everybody says I inspect my septic tank. 18,000 got inspected. 18,000. Now let me tell you something else. The only time you can inspect them, where the Department of Health can come in and inspect them, is voluntarily. The only people that do it voluntarily are the people that think their septic tanks are working and that, what? They want to add a new bathroom or a new bedroom. Then you have to get a septic tank, or then you have to get an inspection. You're eating dinner, but I'm going to tell you the truth. This is the real reason they don't want inspections. The real reason. 50% weren't working properly.
Right.
20%, and these are people that are volunteering, that aren't people that say, oh, I got to get the roto-rooter in here because my grass is soggy, right, and smells. 20% wasn't working at all.
Oh my God.
It was a big hole in the ground. Now, what I'm trying to tell you is that if you want to get control of, what did they just say about the Indian River Lagoon? It wasn't fertilizer, it was septic tanks. Okay? If we don't get the septic tanks, what's the old thing? You know, the American president, we're going to go after the guns and we're going to get them. Okay, that'll never happen, right? But if we don't go after, in Florida, if we don't go after the septic tanks, we will continue to have red tide, green algae, and every other problem that we've got, and that's costing us billions. And you know what? Everybody that has sanitary sewer is paying the same thing we're asking people that have septic tanks every day. You know, we're paying it by the month. All we are asking, all I'm asking, all I ever ask is that they inspect it and they have it running properly. And when it doesn't work anymore, you put in the higher grade septic tank. Now guess what? Septic tanks in Florida, about 50% are more than 30 years old.
Right.
You know what the average lifespan supposedly of a septic tank is? 30 years. So it's a problem. And what did the governor's blue ribbon committee on blue-green algae, what did it say? Get rid of the septic tanks. 4 years ago, after we had billions of dollars lost in tourism over on the coast, get rid of the septic tanks, do something about it, and 4 years later, we still got septic tanks being built in every city, every county in the state. And unfortunately, we are having money now go after. People do recognize septic sewer. We got $1 million. You know what $1 million will do? We're doing a pilot program for a few houses. And when I say a few, couple, not enough, okay? And we have the Wakaiba, and we have the St. John's, and we have a lot of things that are very important that are going right into those things. Eventually, it doesn't go flowing in with a big stream, but no matter where you live, it's going to get there. Yes, ma'am.
Would you do me a favor and ask this body of people, how many of us are able to recycle in our neighborhood?
Oh, well, there's only a couple levels.
Wow. I live in Altamont Springs in a condo, and we are not allowed.
That's your condo association.
Is that something, I mean,
That's your condo association. And Jim and Bob can help you. Seriously, I live in Altamont Springs. I live in a condo association. They wouldn't let me recycle. So I took it, and put it out on the street anyway. I agree. It's terrible. I went to my neighbors and left my recycling there. So yes, I agree. Now I have my own recycling. And because I recycle everything, including food parts, because I have the worms, which I get. I mean, I take my garbage out. Altamont Springs is getting a great deal. I take my garbage out once every 3 months. And everything else I recycle. Everything else I recycle.
But how much actually gets recycled?
It depends on, I know. That, my next door neighbor doesn't recycle at all, and he's a doctor, and I give him so much shit. But there is a lot that isn't. I mean, certain things to the recycling companies, you don't make enough money anymore to do it, or you lose money.
Right.
We're losing money right now on recycling. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't do it.
So many people tell me, though, I'm not gonna bother because I know that it's not really being recycled.
If you recycle and put it in the proper bins correctly, it is getting recycled. So that is wrong. What they're saying is when you throw everything in together and you're putting things in that you shouldn't put in, like electronics and stuff like that, because it's kind of plastic covering, that's not getting recycled. And that takes time away and loss of money, and that's why a lot of the recycling companies are having problems recycling.
I don't think the recycling companies put out enough information to let people know how they are ruining the street.
Well, they said Altamont Springs isn't recycling until
Altamont
they
Springs
get more
does.
employees.
Yeah. Altamont Springs does, I know that.
But
Yes,
they
ma'am.
don't have employees.
Oh.
And this will have to be the last question.
Oh. I could sit here forever, I love it.
Well, I appreciated the
good to see you
discussion of
back.
septic tanks, and I remember, I've got a long memory too, but my memory is also long enough to remember that Seminole County really boomed in the 80s, where package plants were popular with developers, and they also have reached their life expectancy. And I think there's been a crisis down there in Altamont and with the little Wakaiba. So maybe you could talk a little about package plants and what we're doing with people who think they are on a sewer system, but not really.
No question. I can't tell you something that is happening, but we are doing studies concerning sunshine utilities. Now, I will tell you that the guy that, and Beatrice likes him, so I'm going to say, the guy that is working the process of Sunshine Utilities is a nice guy. Sunshine Utilities is a terrible company. okay? They pollute the Wekiva almost they have a spill almost every single month, and we've got to do something about it. There's no question. That was the old St. Orlando, as you remember.
Oh,
Because that was what went into the Sweetwater, okay?
Yeah.
And so they got the water and everything, they're using Sunshine Utilities. Now, there's always opportunities in disasters and problems. And, you know, again, there might be some opportunities there, especially along, since it's there, located near the Wekiva River, and potential of more capacity and everything like that. So I can't say anything more about it. I just know that Darren and the staff is working on something.
But you're working on it.
We are working on it.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah, but it's not something that we can talk about right now.
Oh, okay.
You know, you gotta have a willing seller, willing buyer, whole thing.
Okay.
And a lot of other things that go into it.
Okay, I'm gonna kind of wrap up because
Am I done?
kind of.
Okay.
But we really hope you stick around because I don't know about everybody else, but I thought this was dynamic. But one thing that I want to mention, because Lee Patrizzi was talking about recycling, I want to thank Seminole County because during the last election season, at their own cost,
Oh, yeah.
we brought a project to them to get campaign signs into a specific type of recycling because they have to be recycled into pellets. Most municipalities won't do anything with them, but Seminole County, you know, I offered a little money, they didn't accept it, they did it on their own, so thank you, Seminole County. The other thing, and I'll be brief-ish, is that many of you know that we work with the Berry Environmental and Earth Law Clinic every semester. And so I believe it was the semester before last, we asked them to compare the Citizens Initiative proposal against the Seminole Forever proposal. And when all was said and done, and Commissioner Constantine gave him his time and spoke to us at one of our meetings with the law students, the 2 L's and 3 L's. And their conclusion was that Seminole Forever was the better choice for all kinds of reasons. So I just wanted to mention that.
Keep that in mind. Well, listen, and show of hands, because I did not go into it, but everybody loves Seminole Forever? Everybody?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I mean, it is, like I said, this is not a lot of money, but it's going to save us so much in the long run. So if you can, is it 9:30 or 9 o'clock?
It'll be in the afternoon.
It's in the afternoon, 1:30, in the afternoon of August 9th, or August 8th, Tuesday, August 8th, at the County Commission Chambers. And if y'all can show up and help and support this program and then get this thing passed and get it into law. I think you all know that October 1st, there's that new impact fee law that, you know, you have to put an impact fee on everything. So we want to get this passed. Not that we are worried about that, it's just that it's a lot more money every single time that you post it. I just want to tell you, I'm happy to come back because I didn't get to the future and the challenges. And I'm happy to come back anytime you want me and go over that because I mean, every challenge that we have, we are pursuing. But you all brought up one of them in the communications. It's extremely important. And I just wanted to mention this too. This restoration that we're doing of these 2 underserved areas for so long. We have now gotten millions of dollars. We put in from our ARPA, we got $7 million in state grant just recently for Midway, for storms. We need more, we're working on it, but stormwater basin study, parks, trails, landscape improvements. And we bought Rosenwald. And the 2 things that we want to do with Rosenwald, number 1 is keep the historic nature of it because it's so important that we do that. And number 2, make it a gathering place for that community with a senior living facility that is private-public partnership. You know, we have, if you've ever been on Wynwood and you've been on Marker Street, you know, you have that affordable housing. Now, Merritt Street, Merritt Street Park, unbelievable. It's beautiful, it's for families, it's got like 80% of the people live within 2 miles, and it's got a waiting list a mile long, okay? But the thing that we need there, and it was part of our East Altamont study, is senior living, because they want to transition, they want to stay in the community, they want to give their children their homestead. So they need to move. So that's why we've got to get that private, but we got to do it private. You know, public money is not going to raise the level of any community. We've got to get private money in there, and we've got to invest in it. And that's why that whole thing is going to be a private-public partnership with that. Thank you very much, everybody.